Greetings and salutations everyone on YouTube. This is Chris McKee with Alamo Music Center down in the Alamo Music Lair in the bowels of downtown San Antonio. You can find us online at alamomusic.com, and today we're bringing a buyer's guide rundown of 10 Fender Stratocasters for you, the buying public. So if you've been in the market for a Stratocaster, and let's face it, if you're interested in guitar, you should have undoubtedly looked at a Stratocaster. We're here to show you some great models and offerings from Fender. Now, this isn't a completely exhaustive guide, and I'll tell you why. Because we don't have enough room to fit every single model of Stratocaster that Fender makes into this room with me. So we went through and decided to pick some gems out of their lineup to showcase for you in a variety of price points. And so there is something here for every buyer, for every genre of music, for everything that you are looking for. Fender makes a Stratocaster model to suit your needs. And that's really the wonderful thing about the Stratocaster. First introduced in 1954, the Stratocaster has become synonymous with what an electric guitar is. When most people think of an electric guitar, they think of a Stratocaster, by and large. And one of the great things about the design is that it's modular. I mean, maybe a little bit more curvaceous than a Telecaster. As Brad Paisley's nicely put it, a Telecaster is nothing more than a cutting board with a neck on it. Well, this is a cutting board that has had some carving to it to make it a bit more comfortable, but nevertheless it's a very simple design. And when Leo Fender nailed it back in the 50s, he nailed it. You know, he really came up with something that has worked all of these years with slight changes in its incarnation from time to time, but the modular aspect of it means that it's very, very easy to take one of these guitars and modify it, or for Fender to come out with a new model that suits a new player's needs. So let's talk about some basics of a Stratocaster, and then we'll talk about the differences on each model. Now, the one I'm holding in my hand right now is a Fender Squier Stratocaster. This is the Affinity model in seafoam green, a favorite around the store. It's basically a budget strap, but all these Stratocasters share a lot of the same DNA. They all have the same family lineage, so to speak. So, the Stratocaster body is a basic double cut design. It has a arm carve right here, which makes it very comfortable. There's no hard edges from like a Telecaster or even a carved top guitar. It's very comfortable on your arm. There's also a belly cut. Okay, this fits up right here in your ribs or on your belly, so to speak, depending upon how many abs you've done or ab workouts. And it's generally going to be a bolt-on neck. It's a 25.5-inch scale with your tuners and your tremolo style bridge. Now, there are hardtail Strats, but most, I'd say 98% of Stratocasters come with a tremolo style bridge, which was something that the originals were championing for many years. The primary design is going to be 3 single coil pickups, a 5-way selector switch, 1 volume, tune tone controls. Now, as we get into some of these other offerings, you'll see that there are some other options available straight from Fender with humbucking pickups, different switching, preamps, the works. As I mentioned, it's a 25.5-inch scale, so it's a longer scale guitar, which contributes to the very mid-range, bright, brilliant tone of the Stratocaster that cuts through very well, and the feel of the Stratocaster as well. These two things, its tone, that you can get the warmth from the neck pickup, the snarl from the bridge pickup, as well as the feel of the strings, is a reason that there's so many players that play them today, from blues players like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton, guys like Jeff Beck, Yngwie Malmsteen, Eric Johnson. You run it from blues guys to shred guys and everything in between. The Stratocaster can fit into your style of playing, I guarantee it. They come with an option on the neck, typically. The original ones were maple neck, maple fingerboard. Rosewood is an option on a lot of these, although let's say right now that that's kind of going away. There's been a lot of changes to rosewood as it deals with regulations, and so as a result, Fender and a lot of other manufacturers are finding alternatives for it. Pal Ferro on most of the American line and ebony on their elite models are what's going to be taking the place of rosewood. So those are some changes in the lineup as well. But basically a light wood or a dark wood's available on the neck based upon aesthetics, feel, and tone that you like. So that's the basic anatomy of a Stratocaster. And what we're going to be doing is going through these and pointing out to you as we go up in price what's changing, why one might be better than the other, and what tonal variety you get out of the changes that come with it. So without further ado, let's check it out. Okay, so the first Stratocaster is this surf green one. It's the Affinity Squier Stratocaster. Now, Squier is a sub-brand of Fender made overseas that incorporates their designs. And their Strats are available from the Bullet Strat that's available in packs or on its own, up through the Classic Vibe series, which is a personal favorite of mine, one that I even purchased for my son, and that I'll gladly pick up on a regular basis and play. This is the Affinity, so it's not the one in the box, it's the next one up, not the one in the pack rather, and it's a lot of bang for the buck, coming in at $199.99. So for 200 bucks, you get this great Stratocaster. It's available in a variety of colors, although I'm partial to the surf green. And like I said, it's a volume, 2-tone controls, 3 single coils, a tremolo, and your Strat. Now, for $200, you're getting a great beginner guitar. And what we're going to find is, as we move up, there's refinements that take place that help you as the player with both feel and tone. This feels pretty great, actually. They've done a good job setting it up. The sides of the fretboard are comfortable. Nothing really sharp here. The frets aren't that scratchy. The fingerboard's nice and smooth. It's been set up pretty well. A warning on these guitars is the tremolo. It's a vintage style 6-screw tremolo on these. It's got a pretty thin block on it, and unless you have it set up professionally, and even then you might have issues, I'd recommend keeping it flush against the body. A good setup goes a long way in turning a guitar that plays pretty well into a guitar that plays great. So do keep that in mind if you're looking to purchase one of these. But if you're just getting started, this really is hard to beat price-wise. It's a lot of bang for the buck, and you get all of those great Strat sounds that you've come to know and love. So let's check it out. Now, the next one on our list would be my choice if I was looking for a budget, say sub $500 Stratocaster. And that's also a Squier, but it's part of their Classic Vibe series. Now, this is the 60 Strat. They make a 50 Strat as well. Very similar in design. You'll notice slight changes in color, maple fretboard versus, rosewood fingerboard or Pal Ferraz is going to and whatnot. But really a fantastic guitar for the money. These have a noticeably upgraded feel from the Affinity Strat that I was just playing. And it has the classic looks. It looks like a classic 60s, early 60s Stratocaster. So around 63, 64 era with the tortoiseshell pickguard, this color. The neck is extremely comfortable on these. Now there's a key difference on this versus the Affinity, and that is that the neck is glossed. Now some people don't like a gloss neck, but this is not a sticky neck. This is poly finished. It's not going to get sticky like a vintage nitro neck will, and it's never really bothered me playing one of these. It's a modern C profile. It's really smooth playing. The setup on these is fantastic, and I like the vintage look, but also the vintage appointments. So the tuners on these are the F-style tuners. These are really fantastic. Now, they're not locking tuners, but they kind of are. They're the vintage approach to that. So when you're doing a string change, what you do is you cut the string short, just push it down in there, turn it, and then start winding it around the tuner. And it keeps it locked in place, and it makes for a very clean look, and the string stowed away. It doesn't poke you. I love them. So very similar to the tuners you'd find on any American vintage reissued Strat. Again, 3 single coils, because that's how a Strat was made to be. 1 volume, 2 tones. All of the materials have an upgraded feel here. The body is lighter. It's actually very light. My guess would be this is about 7 pounds. it's alder, and the hardware for the bridge is nicer. The plastics are nicer. The switchgear is nicer. So you know, everything's upgraded. The price on this, $399. So it's a $200 price increase. But you know, one of the things that I get questioned about a lot, and I think a reason a lot of you guys watch these videos on YouTube, is because there's a question of value. There's a question of bang for the buck. I mean, this is a common email and question I get from at our store. So here's what I'm going to say. As you go up in price, at some point you reach a point of diminishing returns. Okay, if you take a $6,000 Strat and you compare it to a $2,000 Strat, the $6,000 Strat is not $4,000 better. Okay, there's a point of diminishing returns. Is this $200 better than the previous one? Yeah, this one is probably safe to say $200 better than the previous one. And so you get a lot of value for your investment. And to put it in kind of very practical terms, if you took an Affinity Strat and you try to upgrade all of the hardware, say you took off those tuners and you took off you know, the pick guard and all that stuff, and you upgraded to this stuff, it would easily probably exceed $200, just in the parts, not to mention the labor. So definitely an upgrade in feel and in sound. So let me prove it to you. Let's check it out. So my money, if I were on a budget and I had less than $500 to spend and I wanted a Strat, I would get this. There you go, that's my recommendation. All right, let's check out the next one as we move on up in price. Okay, so now we're moving away from Squier into Fender proper, so to speak. And this is the Fender Standard Stratocaster. These are made in Fender's plant in Ensenada, Mexico. I believe it's Ensenada. And these are fantastic quality guitars. There's actually some professional guys out there that prefer these. They'll buy these and just kind of tweak them a bit. But they like these a lot. And it is, again, huge value for the money. So this is a Standard Strat HSS model. It's $599.99. Now, what you'll notice by HSS, what we mean is that there's a humbucker here in the bridge position. These are available as 3 single coil models or as a humbucker in the bridge. I think they even have an HH model. Number of different finishes available, maple fingerboard, ferro fingerboard, and so forth. But it is a standard Stratocaster, and you get a lot of bang for the buck. So what you're going to notice on this, there's a few distinctions that indicate this is a Mexico-built Strat. So if you take a look at the logo here, it's actually kind of the 1970s logo. Let me grab another guitar to kind of prove what I'm talking about. We'll jump ahead to this beautiful Eric Clapton one. See this logo? That's the original Fender's logo from back in like the 50s. And that's what you'll see on most of the US models and any vintage reissues or classics design guitars that are meant to be period correct. But otherwise, on most Mexico products, you're going to find this bolded logo, whether it's in black or, you know, maybe it's gold, like this guy that we're going to see in a minute. And from that factory, they build a huge selection of instruments and tweaks upon these different models. It's not a Stratocaster, but to give you an example, I own a Baja Telecaster, which is a custom shop designed Telecaster with some amazing pickups and a lot of really cool modern tweaks to it that's very similar to a 52, but it's built in that Mexico factory, and so the savings on it are huge. I mean, talk about value, right? So, so that's what you get here. Beautiful alder body, variety of colors, and kind of what we saw with the Squiers. Everything improves. The plastics are nicer, the pots are nicer, the switch gear is nicer, the pickups are nicer, the feel on the neck is nicer, no sharp frets, very comfortable. This is a satin finished back of the neck. The fingerboard is gloss if it's a maple neck, just like they do on the American Professional series. So think of it as an inexpensive standard bearer, kind of like the American Professional series is in the American line. This is the standard bearer, the flagship, if you will, for the Mexican-made product. And what a standard bearer it is. So let's check it out. Okay, so next up is another product that's built in the Mexico factory. Now this is the Fender Deluxe Stratocaster. This comes in a variety of colors, and what it's meant to be is a standard Strat with more modern features and a modern take that gives you some great versatility with it. So let's go over what those are. First of all, probably one of the best features is that it has noiseless single coil pickups. Now noiseless pickups are really great. If you have a guitar that doesn't have noiseless pickups, that's fantastic. I love vintage style single coils. They have a wonderful sound to them, but sometimes you end up next to the popcorn machine or I don't know, neon lights or something like that, and you can't get away from the noise. And if you're particularly playing with any gain, it could be extremely noticeable during your gig. So noiseless pickups, which add a dummy coil to act kind of like a humbucker, but still give you that wonderful chime that we expect from a single coil, are really fantastic. So these are their vintage style noiseless pickups. Again, volume, 2 tones, typical. We have a 5-way switch here, typical. What's not typical is this little button that's on here, and what this button does is give you some additional combinations. In positions 4 and 5, so position 4, which gives you these 2 pickups, if you push that button, it adds the bridge pickup, so you have all 3 on at the same time. If you have the button down and you're in position 5, which would normally be just the neck pickup, it adds the bridge pickup, kind of like a Telecaster in the middle position. So really good options for some of those Tele-esque runs. I'm not saying it sounds exactly like a Telecaster, but you can kind of fake it till you make it, right? Some other nice modern features to it is that you get a 2-point tremolo on here, which is a lot more stable typically than the 6-screw vintage design, because it's on a knife edge at these 2 points, and so you can set this up floating. In fact, it comes Comes from the factory with a floating design set up that way. You have the larger 70s style headstock from Fender. It's a love or hate design. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's cool. It's what Jimi used. So if you want to sound like Jimi, then you have to have a big headstock. That's what Yngwie believes anyway. You've got really nice locking tuners on the back of it. And these are low profile tuners, so they increase the angle on the nut. Locking tuners are fantastic for string changes and for tuning stability when you're dealing with a tremolo equipped guitar, vibrato equipped guitar. You also have a carved heel here, which is really comfortable. So for the higher access points, you're not hitting a corner like you would on a normal Strat. Let me grab one of these to show you the difference. Which one do you think is more comfortable? This one or this one? So those are some of the upgrades that you get. This also comes with a deluxe Fender padded gig bag, and all of this can be yours for the price of $799.99. So again, we're looking at a $200 price upgrade from the Mexico Strat. You'll see we're kind of going in these intervals. Question as before, is it worth it? Well, if you went out and you bought all this switchgear and wired it on your guitar, and you bought these tuners, which aren't cheap on their own, and you try to have someone carve that, which I wouldn't recommend, then yeah, you'd be easily paying that in an upgrade price. And is it worth it from the features that you get? Yes, it's a very versatile guitar, set up well for a great price with modern appointments. So think of it as your hot rodded standard. Anyways, let's check it out. We'll go through all of the pickup combinations so you can hear what this thing can do. Okay, next one is a very cool artist model. This is also built in the Mexico factory. This is the Jimi Hendrix artist model from Fender. Now, what they've done is they've taken some of the key features that are unique to Jimi Hendrix's guitars because he was a left-hand player and brought them in a right-hand model, because let's face it, that's most of us in this population. We're mostly right-handed. So they've taken, and here's the thing. This is a very, very cool guitar. It has classic looks to it. It has great vintage appeal to it. You're not going to sound like Jimi Hendrix just because you have this guitar. Let's get that out of the way. You also have to buy an amp. No, I'm kidding. But it does go a long way in helping to bring some of the nuanced differences about his guitars to light. Now, why is that? Well, that's because he took a right-handed guitar and he did it this way. And he strung it and he played it because he was left-handed this way. And what that did is it changed the tension, it changed how the strings were attaching to the headstock, and it changed which pickups, where the pickups were hitting the strings, the magnetic pole pieces, and so forth. So what Fender's done is they've taken a right-handed guitar, they've put a reverse headstock on it, and they have put in these wonderful vintage 60s pickups that are also set up reverse, like they would be if you flipped a guitar over. So we have a maple neck, maple fingerboard in Olympic white. It also comes in black, but I prefer the Olympic white model myself. Reverse headstock, so what that means is that the breakover angle, the tension, the feel for the low E string is different. It's going all the way to this furthest out tuner and passing through the string tree right here, whereas the high E strings hitting where the low E string normally would be. So that changes the feel and changes the response of the strings a little bit. More to the point is what happens with the pickups here. So these are all kind of reverse oriented. The pole pieces that are staggered, if you can see that on the video, these are all staggered to accentuate different strings based upon the height of the magnetic pole piece. And that's how they were set up back in the 60s and the 50s and so forth, to create a kind of string balance based upon how close to the string the magnet was. Well, since Jimi's guitar was reoriented and had the strings put on in the opposite way, you had some strings that were louder than others compared to a right-hand strung guitar. So that's what Fender's done here. They've reversed these, and not only have they reversed the bridge pickup, but they've also changed the angle of it. Let me show you what I mean. If we compare it to a normal angle, see there? They've reversed it so that it would mirror what was going on with Jimi's guitars by having it strung the opposite way. So overall, very cool. On the back of it, you have Jimi's signature, vintage style tuners, vintage bridge, classic Olympic white, Jimi Hendrix heel plate right here. The pickups are phenomenal, and you do get a padded gig bag with it. So this really cool artist model is made for the wonderful price of $899.99. Under $1,000, you get a very, very cool guitar. So if you're a huge Jimi Hendrix fan, just a blues fan, or you want something cool to add to your collection or gig with, this is an awesome guitar to take a look at. So let's check it out. Okay, so if you haven't noticed by now, one of the great things about the Fender guitars that Fender's making south of the border is that they are a huge value. That's really the name of the game. For the same price point of the guitar we just saw is this 50s Stratocaster from Fender. It's part of the Classic design series or Classic series from Mexico, and this has value written all over it. This is a huge, huge, awesome guitar for the money. So $899.99, here's what you get. You get a 50s style Stratocaster. Vintage pickups, vintage hardware, classic tweed style case, nitrocellulose finish. Let me say what that means. If you're not familiar, most of these guitars we've seen so far, actually all of the guitars we've seen so far, are polyester-based finished guitars. And that's fine. It looks great, it stands up to the test of time. It's a good, strong finish, and it does the job. Vintage guitars were finished with nitrocellulose finish, which is a natural-based finish. It is difficult to work with. It has a wonderful luster. It ages over time. It will sink into the wood over time. It's always kind of curing rather than kind of like a candy coat finish that poly is. And so it's a bit more resonant with the guitar. You can also apply it thinner. And if you've ever seen a guitar that you can see a guy's been playing on for 30 years and there's wear marks in it, that's a nitro finished guitar. And so usually those guitars are available on vintage instruments and high-end American instruments. So Gibson, Martin, Fender Custom Shop and limited edition stuff comes with a nitrocellulose finish. This guitar comes with a nitrocellulose finish. And you can tell it has a smell to it because it's always curing. It has a feel to it. So really, really cool. This one has a tinted neck, so they've put a tint in the finish so that it's got that kind of yellowed look that you'd expect on a guitar from the 50s to have. It's a single piece maple neck, so maple neck and fingerboard, the frets are basically right in the neck, and it's gloss finished top and back. It's got the vintage style logo, vintage tuners. It's a vintage guitar built in our modern times for a good price. So really great sound to it, and I don't know, I'm pretty smitten with it. Let's check it out. Okay, so now we're moving into the American line, and an American Strat is something that many guitar players aspire to own, and you know, with good reason. It's an amazing guitar. It's in the hands of musicians around the world. It's been made famous on so many albums. You know, it's the quintessential American electric guitar for many, many people. And so this is the new 2017 entry of that flagship. This is the new American Professional Series Stratocaster. Now this is the standard model. It comes in a few different options, like an HSS version, so you can get a humbucker version of it with a Shawbucker, which we stock as well. So if you want something with a bit more bite in the lead channel, then that's available. This particular model is a Sienna Burst American Professional Strat. When you get a particular finish like this, it comes with an ash body, which is nice and light and nicely figured. If you get it with a different color, it's probably going to be alder, so pay attention to that because that can adjust price. Maple and rosewood going to Paul Ferro instead of rosewood this year. Some nice improvements, so they have a bone nut, a pop and tremolo arm on the modern tremolo bridge that we've talked about in past reviews of this guitar. New V-Mod pickups on these, so it's a mix of magnets that they're using to give you both that vintage feel but also enough gain for modern playing. And just, gosh, it's great switching, great knobs, great feel. The necks on these have been changed. They are now a deep C, so it's got a little bit more wood on the back of it than the modern C shape has for many, many years. And the frets are different. They are now a narrow tall fret, but featuring the same 9.4 inch radius. You know, feel's a big important part of when you're playing, and so, you know, one thing we didn't really go through in detail as you go through a lot of these guitars, the radius does change, and that can, I noticed it while I was playing because I'm used to a certain radius. So, you know, you can see on a vintage guitar something like a 7.5 radius, or the Deluxe Strat we saw a 12-inch radius, or a Standard Strat a 9.4 inch radius, or an Elite like we'll look at, a compound radius where it starts rounder and it flattens out as you go. And that's going to affect the height of the strings and the feel and your bending and all of those things. So keep that in mind as you're going through here. But you know, these come in at $1,500, $1,499.99 for the Sienna Burst with the ash body. If you go with a different color, you can save yourself a little bit of money. I love ash. I think it's a nice bright tone to these guitars. But, you know, you get a wonderful case, you get a strap, you get a cable, you get a lifetime warranted guitar built in the US with this design. And these are just, they're gorgeous instruments. They sound fantastic. But you could also bludgeon somebody to death with it and then go out on stage and play. I'm not recommending you do that, but the point is it'd probably still be in tune after you did. They're bulletproof. They're bulletproof. This is not a guitar that needs to be babied by any means. This is a workhorse of a guitar. This is a tool to be used by a professional musician or someone aspiring to be. So if you are just now playing, or if you've been playing for years, this is going to be a guitar you want in your mix. So let's check it out. Okay, so this guitar is actually kind of a special guitar to me because when I was 12 years old, a friend of my mom's visited us, and he had just come back from Alamo Music in San Antonio, and he had bought himself a new electric guitar, a new Stratocaster. He was a professional musician, and over off in the other room was sitting this beautiful tweed case, and he said inside was an Eric Clapton Stratocaster, and that I could go play it. And that's when these had actually just come out. And so I went over there as a young teenager and cracked open this beautiful tweed case and saw Blackie inside, and got to pick it up and play it for a few hours, and then begrudgingly gave it back to its owner. So, you know, this was kind of the one that you know, gave me the yearn for the Stratocaster, gave me my first experience with an American Strat. And so these are very, very cool guitars, and very cool value for the money. So this is the American built Fender Eric Clapton Signature Stratocaster. This comes in a variety of colors. If you get it in the black color, then it is Blackie. So if you're a Clapton fan, you know what I'm talking about. There's been Blackie, there's been Brownie. This comes in pewter. They all feature Eric's signature up here. And they've got some very unique aspects to them. So vintage noiseless pickups on them, first of all. It's a single ply, vintage style 50s pick guard. It's a vintage style tremolo, but it's blocked. So basically there's a block in there preventing the tremolo really from being used as a tremolo, keeping it set so there's no intonation changes, also increasing sustain and whatnot. It's a blonde maple neck. There is a satin finish on both sides of it, so it's very satin colored, vintage style decals up here, vintage style tuners. Comes with a wonderful tweed case. Some of the most unique aspects of it, though, are in the controls. So it's got a layout like we've seen on all of these other guitars, of volume and two tone controls, but these tone controls are not tone controls. What's in here is a preamp system called the TBX system, and the first tone control actually has a treble boost with a detent in the middle. So from 0 to this detent, and you can feel, you might even be able to see the knob raises and kind of lowers and locks in place. So from 0 to that detent, it works like a normal tone control. From that detent on, it is a treble boost. So you can increase treble regardless of which pickups you have selected at the time. And then the bottom tone control is a mid boost. It's a mid bump. So it increases bass and mid range and decreases treble, giving you the Eric Clapton woman tone, as it were. So let's put it through its paces so you can kind of see what I'm talking about with the tones that you get. Okay, so this next one's kind of a little bit different because what this is a limited edition guitar. Now, we're featuring it because there's always going to be these limited edition guitars that Fender does from time to time. Sometimes it's a limited edition signature model. Sometimes it's just a limited series with some special appointments. They're great values. They're something that's different. It's something that has a kind of custom shop feel without being a custom shop guitar. And that's what we have here. So this is new for 2017. It's a very limited number. And this is the Shedua top Stratocaster. Let me go over some of the unique aspects to this. It's built upon the new American Professional Series Stratocaster. Okay, so we have a lot of the same appointments, same pickups, same neck profile, same frets, bone nut, same tuners, same bridge, so forth. You get the idea. Here's where the differences are and what set this apart. It has a flamed maple neck, a lot of really nice flame in this neck. It is satin back and sides, gloss top, just like a normal American Professional Series would be. The body is not Asher Alder, it's Okumi. At least that's what one of the 6 websites that told me how to pronounce it said it. Okumi, which is an African wood. Beautiful grain to it, very similar to mahogany and sapele and kind of look and feel and weight. And then the top is Shedua, or Shenzhua, or Ovunkal, because that's what most people know it as. So that Shenzhua is another name for this wood. Ovunkal is another name that a lot of people are familiar with because Taylor Guitars has used it on the back and sides of their 400 series for over a decade. So it's similar to rosewood, but it has a striking figure to it. Acoustically, it usually has a bit more mid-range than rosewood does. On an electric guitar like this, it lends itself to some beautiful high-end treble and mid-range kind of bite that might not be there otherwise. Anodized pick guard on the front as well as on the back. So it's basically a metal anodized pick guard that's really cool and sets off the wonderful look of this wood. There's some subtle flame, very subtle edge burst that Fender's done on it to accentuate some of that flame and figuring of the wood. So that combined with this really nice neck makes for a pretty stunning looking guitar. This guitar goes for right at $2,000, $1999.99 for this guitar. That is again limited edition and built upon a solid platform already. So this is the guitar that if you like something like an American Professional Series, but you want something that's a bit unique, maybe something that's collectible, then this would be the guitar to look at because they are extremely limited in number. We get a different limited edition a month, and then they're gone. That's it. And I'll put a personal note in there. Years ago I bought, and there's the video out there somewhere of me playing my guitar, a Fender Select exotic quilted maple Strat. And it's one of my favorite guitars that I own. I played a lot, and it was a great value. It sounds amazing. It plays awesome. They're gone. They were very limited number. They're gone. And now they're selling for already more than it costs new, and they're used. So pretty cool when you can have an opportunity to get a unique Stratocaster like this and have something that's a little bit unique and different than everybody else's. Let's check it out. Okay, finally we come to the top of the current US range from Fender on the Stratocaster model, and that is the Fender American Elite Stratocaster. Now, like a lot of these, this is available in different colors with some different pickup configurations, but what this basically represents is the current pinnacle of an American-made Stratocaster, short of custom shop, that is made to be a modern Stratocaster. So it's got the typical classic Stratocaster shape and headstock, everything that we've come to know and love, but it's loaded with modern features. Let's talk about it. We've got a 2-point tremolo pop-in arm tremolo bridge with blocked saddles here, rather than the bent steel saddles. We have some grippy little knobs here with a no-load pot in the bridge position. What that means is that there's a detent, so when you turn the tone pot on the bridge all the way to 10, you can feel it kind of click, and what that does is it removes it from the circuit altogether so that it is no way bleeding any treble off of that bright bridge pickup. We have a 5-way selector switch and the volume knob, but in the volume knob is a little hidden gem called the S1 switch. I think it's supposed to mean stealth. I call it the scrumptious switch because what it does is it gives you a host of different pickup combinations. In addition to the 5, you get another basically 10 once the switch is depressed and you go through the different settings. We have the latest generation of Fender's noiseless pickups, so these would be the 4th generation noiseless pickups from Fender, which have a lot of typical vintage single coil chime and tone, but they are dead quiet. The neck has some differences. You'll notice here this little cutout. It has the adjustment for the truss rod is located down here at the base of the fretboard rather than up at the top, or where you have to take the pick guard off or the neck off or anything like that to adjust it. It's very easy to adjust this way, and it's made with professionals in mind. We have a bone nut up here. We have staggered locking tuners, single redesigned string tree, locking tuners on the back here, right? And then the fretboard has these medium jumbo frets that change. It's a 9.4-inch radius here, flattens out to a 14-inch radius here. So basically, as you move up the neck to the points where you would be playing single note lead stuff, it's flatter, which means you can have your action lower and you can have basically a faster playing neck. The back of the neck changes too, which is cool. It changes from a modern C shape here and it flattens out to a D shape here, and then transitions into this nice beveled heel on the back of the guitar. So it's very comfortable as you move up here with your hand, again, not hitting a hard corner like you would typically have on a bolt-on neck guitar like a Stratocaster. You also have locking straps with a strap and other goodies in the case, and the case is a nice molded hard shell case from Fender. So this is a modern Stratocaster. It's very fast playing. I am too ham-fisted to really do it justice, but it plays extremely comfortable, and if you are trying to play anything fast to just blues or anything, you'll be pretty comfortable right at home on this guitar. So let's go through the different combinations of tone that you can get out of it with the S1 switch. So that's our rundown of 10 of what we have found to be the most popular Stratocasters in Fender's lineup. Like I said, this is far from exhaustive because there are so many options, so many colors to choose from and whatnot. So I hope that you look closely at these models. These are fantastic guitars for anybody out there. If there's something that's on this list that you have a question about, or if there's something not on the list that you have a question about, please contact us. Go online to alamomusic.com and we're there to answer any of your questions and fulfill your needs, because what we want to do is help you find the right guitar for you so that you can play music, because that's really what it's all about. So again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, but I want to thank you for watching and remind you, as always, not to forget to subscribe. Thanks.